Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you've watched any of my videos before. My name is Melanie and I do a variety of different videos. My predominant type of videos are vlogs. During the course of December I am uploading daily. I'm doing Vlogmas, but also I am doing my bi-weekly vlogs, Monday and Thursday, and then I'm doing Christmas vlog, which is basically vlog footage that continues from the bi-weekly footage, and that's on Wednesday and Saturday. On Friday during December I'm doing Christmas content video, and this video probably should be used then, but it's not. And then on Sunday and Tuesday I do what I call my other content. That could be anything from unboxing something, reviewing something, trying stuff on camera and reviewing it, concert footage, story times, experience videos, that type of thing. Today's video, as the title may suggest, is a story time video. And also, I'm sorry for any mess in the background. I can see there's mess there and there. No matter what I do, there's going to be mess, but that's my chaotic life at the moment. I am hopefully going to tidy this room. So back to this video. It's a story time video, and it's kind of apt because it's a story time about how I ended up in hospital Christmas 2017. If this isn't the type of video you like, then please feel free to click off the video. There's no need to dislike the video just because it isn't your type of video. If you've clicked on it from the title, then watch it if you're interested. If you're not interested, then please don't, because it's a story time video. I have got a light here, so if I'm lit more from one side than the other. Whoa, yes. So last December I had a job anyway. I was working somewhere and I was finding it really stressful because they weren't treating me fairly. They weren't treating a lot of the staff fairly. There were two that were getting treated like, you know, they were royalty, and then the rest were just getting treated badly. And they had me there using me for financial managerial skills and were paying me office staff money. And it's not even like, that wasn't even why I didn't like the job. It was like there was a lot of stuff going on. So I was under a lot of pressure. I was going to work 4 days a week for 4 hours a day, and I was ill. I carry a long-term illness that makes me feel unwell all the time, but because I'm used to it, when I feel unwell I don't feel it the way that someone would feel it if they just got it. They would feel really ill. You get used to it if you've had it a long time, but there's days where I feel a lot worse than others, and there's sometimes weeks when I'm quite unwell with it. So I was like, because I was so stressed with the job, I basically was going to bed later and later and later, so it got to the point that most nights I was having 2.5 hours sleep and I weren't having any kind of naps at all. So literally all the time that I was sleeping was just 2.5 hours. So, and that was due to the fact that I knew once I'd gone to sleep, when I woke up I would be going to work, and I wanted to put it off as long as possible going to sleep, because I knew when I got up I had a certain amount of time to get ready, then go to work. And you know, that probably contributed to me getting ill as well. So I was hardly having any sleep, and I was going to work, and then I'd leave work, and then I'd go to the shop, and then I'd go and see my dad. Then if I had anything else to do, I'd go and do it. Then I'd come home, and then I'd film a live video for this channel, and then I'd put my shopping away, and then I would just sit there for hours some nights. Or some nights I'd do things, but some nights I'd just sit there for hours, and like 3 hours would feel like 10 minutes. And then I'd be stressed out about going to work again, and then I'd go to bed super late, and it carried on. During December, someone who I worked with and I saw every day because she worked in the office with me, she got a really vicious cold flu virus thing. Went to the doctor prescribed her certain medications. She didn't want to take them, and she didn't take any time off work. Now where I worked, the other staff came into contact daily with people who have severe, very like poor health or are end of life, and they were dealing with her daily. So really the manager should have said to her, you need to take time off, because there's people coming in, you're handing stuff to them, you're around them, and they're going off and caring for people at end of life. But that didn't happen, because what had happened was this person basically made the manager and the owner of the business think that the business can't survive without her. She was making it look like they couldn't run the business without her, so they needed her there constantly. And when she wasn't there, they felt like they couldn't cope or manage the business without her, even though she didn't have any managerial skills and she wasn't very good at what she was doing anyway. So they never insisted that she took time off, yet when anyone else wasn't very well, they would insist they'd take a day or two off. But she was constantly there and she wasn't getting better, and she was really, really ill. And I was dreading catching it. I'll be honest, I catch most things. Because my immune system's low, because I'm permanently ill, my immune system is pretty shot at. So I would avoid her as much as I could. We was in separate offices, but I had to interact with her a lot on a daily basis because of what job she did and what job I did. So eventually I caught what she had, and I started to feel run down, and I thought, oh, I've caught it. And I had a little bit more sleep, like I was having about 3.5 hours sleep a night. I know that's not a lot, but it was more than I was having. And I slowed down a little bit, and I just woke up with a stinking horrible cold thing, and I had tonsillitis. Luckily for me, I managed to get an appointment to see my doctor, I think on the Monday. It was either the Monday or the Tuesday I got an appointment with my actual doctor. I don't know if it's because I already had an appointment booked or I managed to get an appointment to see her, but she diagnosed me with tonsillitis because my throat was really bad. And she gave me antibiotics, and I carried on going to work, basically. And it was leading up to Christmas. Christmas was like the Sunday was Christmas Eve and the Monday was Christmas Day. And work was busier than normal, and there was a party thing where they get people in and they put on a party for them, and I was putting together with my own money. I was making around 6 or 7 gift basket hamper things with Christmas things in. I was buying gifts for the staff in the office, my manager, the owner. So I was running around to all these places getting gifts for everyone. Every time I finished work, basically. So I was just permanently running around. I had flu, I had tonsillitis, and it got to the Wednesday, and Thursday was going to be my last day. But on the Thursday, I basically didn't have much work to do. It was the party, so I knew I was going to get paid to go to the party, and I thought, I've worked all hard all week and I'm going to get to go to this. It wasn't a staff party, but you know, I was working, and I was really excited by that. And I basically couldn't get up, couldn't go to work, couldn't do anything, and I was like really, really miserable about that. Weren't happy about it, and I had to call in sick, basically, so I didn't get paid for that day. And then the next day, because I was so ill, I ended up at the doctor's, and you know, because I'd been on antibiotics for 3 or 4 days by that point, they should have started working, and they hadn't. So I saw another doctor that isn't mine, and he was like, he wanted to admit me into hospital, and I basically wouldn't let him. So he doubled the strength of the antibiotics, and he basically said, if you don't get any better by Sunday, I want you to ring 111, because obviously the doctors would have been closed Monday, so he weren't going to say wait till Monday and then come back. So I was just like, yeah, whatever. No intention of ringing 111 or going to a hospital or anything. I just thought, he's doubled the strength of the antibiotics, I'll be fine. I'll get better. I'm not at work now until the day after Boxing Day. It's absolutely fine. I'm gonna get on with everything. So I'm going to address the elephant in the room. I have got changed. My makeup's more worn off now. it is 4.5 hours in between the last bit and this bit. Basically, my dad came home and I can't film whilst he's home because he sits in that room there. Even though about 10 o'clock he fell asleep in there and started snoring. But he does that every night. Instead of like going to bed like a normal person, he will snore in there and make a lot of noise. So he only went and got in bed about an hour ago. I've since took some painkillers and had a drink because I'm actually coming down with some kind of viral thing, and went on antibiotics today. Well, technically yesterday because now it's Saturday. So I got this onesie like a week or so ago, and this is the first time I've put it on. Like, I've tried it on, but I've never worn a onesie before, but I wanted to be super comfy. I've just put it on. I could have just carried on in what I was wearing before, but because I'm tired and I don't feel well, I just thought I'll make myself comfy because I do want to finish this video. So basically, the doctor wanted to put me in hospital, but I refused, and they can't make you go, then they have to treat you. So he doubled the dosage of what I was on. I was on Cefalexin, that's what I'm on right now as well, and I came home and probably got in bed, I can't really remember. And then the next day, which was a Saturday, which is the day before Christmas Eve, I woke feeling absolutely horrendous, didn't feel any better. Like, I had flu and my tonsils were like, I had tonsillitis on top. Tonsillitis generally causes a cold or flu type thing anyway. And my dad made me go shopping with him. And I did a video on here saying that I'm pretty sure that I'm going to end up in hospital over Christmas, even though I didn't want to, but I knew I wasn't getting better. Then on Christmas Eve, as the day went on, I knew I couldn't stay at home. I knew I needed antibiotics much stronger than you're allowed at home, because I'd been on them for 6 days by that point. There was no improvement. I'd been on the double dose from the Friday, so it was Friday, Saturday. I'd done like half of Sunday, and I knew. So I kind of washed my hair, didn't put any makeup on, packed a hospital bag, and I rang 111, and they sent an ambulance basically, and the ambulance came about 15 minutes later, and the female paramedic was really horrible to me, asking me why I'd asked for an ambulance. And she gave me crap even when I said I didn't call the ambulance, I didn't ask for the ambulance, I didn't, you know, I just rang 111 like my doctor had told me. And she was just quite off with me, kept like snapping at me and having a go at me. Like, it's not up to her to judge. She gets sent to a job, she has to deal with that patient, and having a go at them when they've been ill for like over a week. There's just no need for it. And she took me to hospital, and there was a massive queue. So I didn't go straight into resource like I thought I would, because I went straight into resource last time, and I ended up in this queue in a corridor in a wheelchair. So there's a bit of this story. If you're not into things that are like TMI, I would definitely not listen to the next bit. So over the week, I had tried to eat as much as possible. I tried to have 3 meals a day, because people always say when you're sick, the best thing you can do is carry on eating, and you get better quicker if you eat. So because I was going to work and stuff, and I wanted to get better as well, I was eating as much as I possibly could. So basically, this is where it gets TMI. So if you don't want to know about toilet issues, then I'd definitely stop watching. So basically, I didn't realise this until Thursday, Friday. I became severely constipated. I couldn't go to the toilet, which is very unlike me. I panic if I don't go once a day because I do have, well, I am regular and also I do have issues where, like, if I end up not being able to go, it does turn into something quite major. So I realised Thursday, Friday that I'd not been, and I was like, oh God, not again, because I've had this before. And I think from memory I started to then drink pure orange juice, because pure orange juice can give you diarrhea. So I was like on pure orange juice with bits. Not that the bits make any difference, it's preference. And I was trying to drink coffee, because the thing is, when I get cold or flu, I go off things like coffee. I go off quite a few things, and I found that if I try and have those things that I go off when I'm ill, when I get better again, I still don't like them. So I do avoid certain things when I'm ill. So I was drinking coffee, I was drinking pure orange juice, I was doing other things, like I can't, like it's like 1:30 in the morning, I'm not going to sit here and try and remember everything, but I was doing everything I could to try and get rid of the constipation, because I know with me, if I don't get rid of it after a certain amount of days, it gets to the point where I can't go for a wee, because my bowel gets so full, it pushes against my bladder. And also, you'll know, like anyone who goes to the toilet will know that if you go for a number 2, or whatever you want to call it, if you're like quite desperate, that normally comes out first before you have a wee, even if you're desperate for a wee. So it got to the point where I was struggling to go for a wee, like a little bit would come out, but because like it gets to the point with the constipation, it's going to be TMI for the next 5 minutes, so seriously, if you don't want to know, don't listen. So it gets to the point where, do you know, like when you're desperate to go and you literally run to the toilet and you sit down just in time, and then your bowel just lets go and does whatever it wants to do. So it was like my bowel like was constantly trying to go, but the muscle was stopping it. So I would sit on the toilet and I would try and push it out, but nothing was happening. And sometimes what was happening, and again I'm warning you, is TMI if you don't want to know, I would be able to push it to a certain point, but if I let go, you know, like when you let go of the push, it goes back up and it like kills. That's what would happen. So I would sit there for 20 minutes, like I'd push not like super hard, but I'd push to like try and get it moving. And then when I'd realise that it won't come out, I would still hold the push, but not like a forcing type of push. And then eventually when it becomes obvious that it's not gonna do anything, then I let go. And that's when you get that horrible pain, when it pushes it back up. So I had this constant feeling that it was like pushing it, but the muscle that controls it to stop it was constantly working overtime, so both muscles are going like crazy. So then I got my dad to get me, I think this was a Saturday, I got him to go and get me a laxative called, what's it called? Movicol. Movicol is expensive, like 30 sachets or something like £15. So he got me that, and I did 6 at once, which you're not meant to do, and hoped for the best, and stopped eating at that point because I was just like, I can't eat, it's making it worse. So drinking plenty of fluids, because sometimes when you're dehydrated you get constipated. So I'm drinking all these fluids, I'm drinking the Movicol, which isn't the easiest to drink. It's not a horrible taste. The flavoured ones, you can get orange, I think you can get chocolate one, but I just had plain, and nothing was happening. And like I was going to the toilet and I'd go for a wee, and because my bowel was constantly pushing because it wanted me to have a poo, that muscle was constantly in action, So when I was sitting down to try and wee, because my bowel action was trying to happen, that muscle where it relaxes it and then the poo comes out, that was constantly happening. But because I was constipated, nothing was happening. So I'm sat on the toilet trying to have a wee and nothing's really coming out. And I'd get a bit of a dribble every now and then, or every now and then, like I'd have to like bend right over on the toilet, like leaning far forward, and sometimes that would relax it enough for me to be able to wee, but it was never a full one, like maybe 30% of it would come out, or 10% depending on what was going to happen that time. So by the time it got to Christmas Eve lunchtime, I could barely wee. Like 9 times out of 10 that I went, not even a dribble would come out, and then I'd go again and maybe 10-20% of the wee would come out, but I was constantly needing a wee. I was constantly trying to, like my bowel was constantly trying to empty itself, and it wouldn't come out because it was so badly blocked. I was having loads of Movicol, nothing. So that's one of the reasons why I ended up getting rushed to hospital. And sitting on a wheelchair when your bowel is full and trying to push itself out, like empty itself, and your bladder's full, is absolute agony. No matter what position I sat in on that wheelchair, I was in absolute agony. So after a couple of hours, they came and got me, and it was my turn for triage, and they got me on this bed so then I could lie down, which, well, I was half sat, half led, so that was a relief from my bowel. And they did my temperature, and it's 38.6. Then they started to panic, because really, with my temperature being that high, I should have gone into triage. So the nurse panicked and went and got one of the doctors, who then looked at like my chart and everything. He then panicked and went and got a consultant. And then they were all like, oh my god, she should have gone into resource. And then they're trying to cover it, like they were trying to blame the paramedics, which actually it turns out they were at fault, because they didn't do my temperature and they didn't do other things. In fact, they dumped me with another paramedic because they wanted to finish the shift and go, so he didn't check my obs at all when they're supposed to check on you, from what I heard when they were panicking just outside the room that I was in. So I had this high temperature, but I was super cold, so I kept putting my coat over me and a blanket, and the nurse would come in and take them both off me and tell me off continuously, because they wanted to get my temperature down because it was way too high. And I said, but I'm cold. And she said, no, that's just your body's way of, like, it's confused and it's trying to like cool itself down because it doesn't realise how hot it is, or something like that. But every time she walked off, I would basically pull my coat and cover like the blanket back up, and then she took my blanket off me and then pulled my coat down again. I thought she'd better not try and take my coat off me, because she, like, over my dead body, is she having my coat? So the consultant then heard me telling them that there's absolutely no chance they're gonna give me an enema. Because I said, I got really upset with the doctor, and I'm like, I'm not having an enema, I've had one before and it was horrific. And when I'd had that enema, I think I'd not been for 3 days or 4 days, and I'd not been able to wee for nearly a day at that point, and it was horrific. And then at that point, by the time I'd been in hospital, I was on day 9. I've not been able to go for a poo, and day 2 I've not been able to really go to the toilet for a wee. And then he's like, oh, I heard you saying about not having an enema and not having anything else. And he said, what as if that's your only option? I'm like, I still don't want it. And he actually laughed at me. So they sent off my bloods and everything, and I stayed in that room basically after that. They didn't dump me anywhere else. They didn't, actually they did, they put me in a room, because if you've watched back to live videos I was doing like 30-second clips in that room. Every time I fell asleep, someone woke me up because they either wanted to do my temperature or blood pressure, or they wanted to give me medication because I was put on antibiotics straight away, I was put on a drip straight away, and I was put on pain relief straight away as soon as I went in that room. And I had a nurse constantly checking on me and waking me up, and then there were drunks and there was police everywhere, and then I got told I was definitely being admitted, and I got took up to the ward, and there was a live video that I filmed when I got took up there, because I was waiting to where they come along and ask you loads of questions and basically check you in. And then I saw the nurse practitioner, and isn't it funny, like, they all want a buddy, like, basically stick their fingers up your bum. I said it no to everyone. I've had it done before, and I was just like, absolutely not, no. Because I was already nagging him. One muscle's trying to, like, push it out, the other muscle's stopping it. I was like, no, I'm not doing it. They can just go and put their fingers up their own bum, to be honest. And then she wanted to put a catheter in, and I was like, no. And I told her the reasons why I didn't want it. And then I managed to go to the toilet and empty maybe 30% of my bladder, and it was such a relief, but I still needed to go. And I'd fall asleep for a couple of minutes and then wake up for like 20 and then fall asleep for a couple of minutes. So I had a really bad night's sleep, and then in the morning, like, the doctors and surgeons and everyone comes round, and the night before, actually, like, going back when I was downstairs before I got put on medication, the doctor decided that he was going to treat a different illness to what I'd been taking in on. So I have a long-term illness that I don't talk about and I don't reveal on here what it is, and I'm still not going to reveal what it is. If you know, you know. If you don't know, you're not going to be told anytime soon. And I've been refusing an operation on it for 2 years now because of the police. If you want to know what they've done to me and why, then just look back on videos from 6 months ago on, like, and backwards from that. So they decided that that's what was making me ill, even though obviously, yes, I'd caught this virus and I had tonsillitis. The reason it wasn't clearing up is because I had an underlying illness which had flared up, which needed treating. So they decided that they need to treat that for the other stuff to go away. So I got put on metronidazole, gentamicin and amoxicillin. Gentamicin you can only have in hospital because it's basically the dog's doodahs of antibiotics, and it has to be given under restricted conditions, and they have to check the level of it in your blood every single day. So you basically, every day you're on it, you have to have blood taken to make sure you've not got too much gentamicin in your system, because it can kill you. So I was put on that. I was put on Oromorph, liquid paracetamol, I was on a saline drip, I was on a few other bits and pieces, but basically they were trying to fight my main illness because it had flared up, and they felt to get rid of the flu, the tonsillitis, everything else, they had to fight the underlying condition. So they basically attacked it with all that medication. I was put on this drip, and in the early, like, just before the, like, I think a doctor had come round when I'd been asleep, and I'd woken up and I heard them saying, you need to run the fluids through really quickly to force her to go to the toilet, because I'd refused a catheter again. So I fell back to sleep, and I woke up and a litre of liquid had gone through me super quick, and I felt like I was about to wet myself. And the nurse came along and she's like, because I'd actually turned down a catheter, she's like, I need to give you an enema, and I'm like, I don't want one. And then we had this long discussion about it, and I just couldn't take the pain, not only from my poo constantly trying to come out, but my bladder was so full, like, I was scared it was going to burst. And they was concerned about my bladder as well, because you can live with your bowel being full, but you can't live with your bladder being that full. So I agreed to it, and she did it, and she said just try and lie in bed for 10-15 minutes and then make your way to the toilet. I lasted 2 minutes, was scared I was going to have an accident, scuffled off to the toilet. So I'm in the toilet, and if you've ever had an enema, they basically squirt loads of liquid into your bowel, but it literally feels like you're going to go straight away, or all this liquid's going to come falling out. So I'm in there, right, and also I was given the option of a manual extraction where they put you to sleep and do it manually, and I was like, absolutely not, I'd rather have 10 enemas. So I'm in the bathroom, and I've been in there about 2-3 minutes, and the pain starts. Do you know that feeling you get when you've got diarrhea and you've got about 2 seconds to go and you're in absolutely agony, like these cramps is really low down? Imagine that times 100. So that starts happening, my stomach's gurgling like mad, I start to feel really ill, I go ice cold, I get goosebumps up my arm, and then I start crying, and I'm thinking, oh my god, I feel like I'm gonna die. I wish I'd gone for the manual extraction. Why didn't go for the manual extraction? I'm shaking, I'm pacing up and down the toilet, I feel sick, really ice cold. I looked in the mirror and all the colour drained from my face. I was sweating, but I was freezing, and the pain in like my abdomen was just like 100 times worse than that diarrhea pain you get. So I'm sat on the toilet and I'm thinking, and we're going to go for TMI again, so if you don't want to watch TMI, just really click off this video because it is going to get TMI. So I'm on the toilet and nothing's happening. I'm thinking, why is nothing happening? It's not working. Oh my god, I can't cope with this pain. Really panicking in the toilet. And I'm like, oh god, this is not going to happen. Like, why is it not coming out? Like, it's been 20 minutes. And I was really feeling so unwell. And then all of a sudden, it was like someone had shot a bullet out of my bum. It was this rock hard lump, and it went firing into the toilet, and it wasn't as painful as I thought, and it might be because it just literally flew out, and then nothing happened, and I'm like, oh my god, it can't be that can't be it, because I thought this is day 10 now, and I carried on eating like normally for 7 or 8 of the days, and I don't know. And then I sat there a few minutes, and then lo and behold, I continuously pooed non-stop, and it weren't like diarrhea at first, it was just like normal, and it was just like continuous, because normally when you go to the toilet, it'll come out like it'll either come out in one and then maybe a couple of small ones or a few small ones, like, but this was just continuous, and I'm thinking, where's all this coming from? Like, it's massive. I'm like there, like, my god, where is it all coming from? Like, I honestly did not know where it was coming from. It was like a snake was coming out of me. That's not even an exaggeration. It just kept coming and coming and coming and coming for about 5 minutes, and then it stopped. And also, whilst this was going on, I was constantly flushing. I would flush, and then when it was ready to flush again, I'd flush again, because it was just constantly coming out of me. And I thought, knowing my luck, I'll block the toilet midway through and have to keep going, then everyone will notice me, because everyone else in that ward, there was 3 other beds, we're all bed bound, so everyone's going to know I've blocked the bloody toilet. And also, like, because of the amount that was coming out, I was so convinced that it was just going to end up at the top of the toilet. I wouldn't have been surprised if it had done, the amount that came out. So I was constantly flushing it, and after about 20 minutes, like probably after about 10 minutes, it stopped, and I sat there, my stomach's gurgling like mad, and then it was round 2 of diarrhea. So it'd come out like crazy, and I'm like, I'm glad I'm flushing it because of the noises that were going on, and constantly going, constantly wiping, constantly flushing. So that lasted about 10 minutes. Then I stood up and I was washing my hands. I'm like, oh my god, I need to go. Sat back down, back on the toilet for 10 minutes, finished, got up, washed my hands, sat back down. So I was probably in there for about an hour. Eventually I was able to leave, absolutely worn out by this point, got on the bed, and then I was going every 15 minutes all that day. Next day it calmed down to about every 45 minutes to an hour. And then they were trying to feed me laxatives on the second day. With every drugs round, as I call it, they were giving me a laxative, and I was like, no, I've got diarrhea now. And they're like, well, we want to make sure you keep going. I'm like, the amount that I've gone and the amount I keep going, every time I have a drink, I got diarrhea. Like, it was just, everything was going right through me. So I refused to take the laxatives. Like, I had diarrhea all that week. Like, it was horrific. So it got to the Wednesday, and I knew I had to go to the work on the Friday, and I knew I had a doctor's appointment on the Thursday. So I was determined to get out on the Thursday, so I basically pretended I was feeling a lot better because I knew I had to go to work on the Friday, so it meant getting out on the Thursday. So they came round on the rounds, and they're like, you are a lot better. They took me off the gentamicin Tuesday evening. Or was it? Yeah, Tuesday evening. Because there was a big improvement. So Wednesday I was just on the normal antibiotics. I was on the other two. I was on everything else, and they said I was improving. And I was like, oh, I really want to go home. I'm feeling a lot better. I didn't feel as well as I made out. So they said, yeah, we weren't going to let you go until Friday, but if you're feeling better, we'll let you go home tomorrow. So the day after, they said, yeah, you can go home. And I made it clear to everyone all morning, from 8 in the morning, the latest I was staying was till 12. I think I had a doctor's appointment at 2:30 or something like that, and I went to get home and wash my hair. So it got to 12 o'clock, and the pharmacist came, and she's like, I've not done your medication. You're going to have to wait for it. It's going to be a couple of hours. And I went, I'm leaving now. She went, no, you can't leave. You have to stay. I went, I don't have to leave. I'm leaving. I'm going home. And she tried to force me to stay, and I just stormed out. Went home, washed my hair, went to my doctor's appointment, and left. That was back in the day when I barely said anything to my doctor. And then I had eventually got my medication sent to me in a taxi, but they hadn't sent the Oromorph. And then I couldn't get hold of any Oromorph. I had to go to work the next day on the Friday. I'd asked the evening before if I could go in at 11 because I was very unwell, and they said no, you had to come in at 9. So I went to work on 2.5, 3 hours sleep. Didn't want to be there. They kept me there till 4:30 even though I meant to finish at 1. Had a mini breakdown. My dad managed to actually get a doctor to agree to give me Oromorph. Then I was happy again. I was still full of, like, I still had a cold viral thing for another week. And then I ended up in hospital the following week, I think it was. I ended up in, like, I went to work on the Monday. No, I didn't. I went to work on the Tuesday. On the Wednesday, I ended up at the hospital. And when I got to the hospital, it was clear I wasn't going to be seen for hours. I waited an hour for pain relief, didn't get any. Walked out. In the meantime, my dad had got me on the triage list at the doctor's. I spoke to the doctor, and he'd given me his last appointment of the morning. It was a doctor I used to see all the time years ago. Went to see him, and I think he gave me something. I can't remember what he gave me. The next day, I was really ill, rang triage, ended up seeing my doctor, who then sent me up to hospital. And then I was sat at hospital all day, nothing to eat, nothing to drink. My dad came about 3 hours later with a coffee. Sat there all day. Then they tried to admit me. I refused. And they sent me home after having me sat there all day and told me to go the next day for a scan. My doctor had set me up on the premise that they would put me straight on medication and start the medication. So she was shocked to find out that didn't happen. Went to the scan the next day. Went in coded at work after the scan. They wanted me to go back and work Friday. And I'm there telling them I'm really, really ill. I actually had developed jaundice, and I went in with my yellow eyes, which no one picked up in these videos, and I'm like, I've got jaundice, I'm really unwell, I need time off. Can you come to work tomorrow? I'm like, but I'm really ill, I need time off. So they agreed to let me off till Monday. I quit on the Wednesday. Well, I gave them my resignation letter. No, I decided I was quitting on the Wednesday, given the resignation letter Thursday, left on the Monday, because they were forcing me to go to work when I was ill. I'd gone to work all Christmas week, all the week leading up to Christmas, because I couldn't let them down. Ended up in hospital, whereas I think if I was able to have the bed rest, I think I could have potentially got well on the medication that my doctor would give me. And then I'm there telling them I got jaundice, like I've been advised to take time off, and they refused to let me have time off. And that wasn't the that wasn't the full reason for me leaving the job, but it was the nail in the coffin when you're going in. Like, they knew you spent all Christmas in hospital, they knew you got out of hospital just to go to work on the Friday, then they get you in work the day after New Year's Eve, you're severely ill, you end up in hospital that like early hours of the next day, you can't go to work, you're going to doctor's appointments, you're spending all day at hospital, then you're going and having tests done and like having a scan done, and then they're asking you to go back to work knowing you're really ill. Then you go in and you know you're not treated very well, and no one's respecting the fact that you're really ill and you should have time off. So that's how I ended up in hospital at Christmas. That's the long and short of it. I'm not telling you my long-term illness, but that was the underlying factor in why I didn't get better. I've been ill for weeks and weeks and weeks. I've been ill for the last 2 days, more so than like the rest of the week. I've had to go on my antibiotics because I'm scared to death, because I am developing a sore throat. I'm getting flu-like symptoms. I'm scared to death that I'm going to end up with this flu viral thing, and it's my illness that's causing it. But I'm scared that it's going to flare up over the next week, and I'm going to end up put in hospital either in the lead up to Christmas, just the day before Christmas, or over Christmas. And my dad's basically told me not to go in hospital this month or next month because he thinks it's really inconsiderate. So I'm fighting not to go in hospital, but I've been ill for weeks and weeks and weeks. My doctor tried to put me in hospital last Friday. I know I should be in hospital. I know something's flaring up, and I know it's causing secondary illnesses. So my immune system's weak, so I'm picking things up and my body's trying to fight it. But because I have an underlying condition, it's potentially not going to fight it. So that's it. If you have any questions, leave them down below. And if you're new to my channel, you like to see more of this, or watch my vlogs, or if there's any type of content you'd like, then comment below and tell me that. But it'd be nice if you could subscribe to my channel, click the bell notification, then you get an alert when I upload, and I'll be back very soon with another video. Thank you for watching.